You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. Powered by Ecstasy Media Productions. Let's get this rock up-rolling. Let's get this rock up-rolling. Let's get this rock. And now for your host, DJ Dog. Hey, I'm Doc here on Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, and welcome if you're new here. Later on in the show, I'll be joined by none other than the globally award-winning and best-selling author, Darren Shan. I had a great time talking with him, and I most definitely do hope he comes back on the show. But before then, guys, let's get the rock rolling here. I've got Abandon All first with their song Strong. This comes off their newest EP, so enjoy. I'll see you guys back here in a bit. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. Enjoy. away. And I was blind, too blind to see. You choked the life out of me, yeah. I'm going down without a sound. I'm going down, I'm going down. My lungs fill with lily water, the scent of death. You push harder. This well is deep. I pray for my father. Don't forget I'm your brother's daughter. I'm going
Kisses from your lips, causing internal bleeding. Try to hide it all in your mind under your coat. I was bad again, I was wrong, you were right, like always. Many times before, I was stupid enough to fight. Will I internal bleeding. Try to hide it all in your mind under your clothes. I could live tonight, leave for good, and come back next week. I'm bruised from inside out, my skin is smart forever. Possible for you to read recklessness of my behavior, yet fracturing me from the inside, everlasting shame. Treating the symptoms, not searching for the cure. I'm holding on to something that might not exist. Something that does not exist.
And that was Ryogan with Bruises. Before that, that was Door 13 with Drowning. What I've got coming at you is our good friends Alessa from Finland with their song Clear Sky Is Not a Curse. Definitely one of my favorites. Enjoy. I'll see you guys back here in a bit. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. Hey, I'm Doc here on Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. And today, guys, I'm joined by none other than Darren Shan. Darren Shan is the author of the globally successful Cirque du Freak sagas of both Darren Shan and Lawton Krebsley, the Zombie series, and the Demonata series. Welcome to the show, Darren. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. No problem. It's my pleasure, definitely. So I want to ask you, first and foremost, when did you begin your writing career?
I mean, it goes back to when I was 5 or 6 years of age. My mother was a teacher, and she taught me to read and write. And she realised very early on that I had an active imagination, and she encouraged me to channel that into storytelling. Now, I was born in London. I have a London accent, in case any of you are wondering. But I've lived in Ireland since I was 6 years of age. My parents moved back at the end of the 1970s, and I've lived here ever since. But I can remember, even when I lived in London, writing short stories at school and reading them to my friends. So even from that young age, I loved telling stories. Now, as a kid, I wanted to do lots of different things. A musician, an actor, an astronaut, a vet. But a love of storytelling, of being a writer, that stayed with me and grew within me as I got older and as I moved into my teens. And by the time I was definitely 12 or 13, I definitely knew this was what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I just loved telling stories. I was quite good at it. I enjoyed doing it. And by the time I was in secondary school, I knew this is what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Very cool. Very cool. So it's safe to say that you being a writer and an author, that was something that you really aspired to be when you were older?
It was my dream. It was something I would do for fun without any money. I often get asked, what would I do if I wasn't a writer? Now, I have no idea where life would have led me in that instance, but I know I would have been writing regardless. I'd have been writing in my spare time, at the weekends, in my holidays. That love of writing has always been within me. And it's lovely that I get paid to do it and it's a full-time job. But if it wasn't, I'd be an amateur author. I'd be trying my hand at it in my spare time. It's just something I have, it's something I have to do. It's just the way my mind works. I'm always thinking of ideas, playing around with scenes, and I just love doing it.
Very cool. Very cool. And I tried my hand at writing when I was younger, especially when I was in college. And you were one of the authors that inspired me to do that. Definitely, because I went into the horror genre, and I wrote some short stories, and that was something I aspired to be when I was older as well. Namely because of your books. And it's just something I wanted to do. But obviously, I went to radio, and that pretty much took over from there. So,
it's never too late to go back. You can become a writer at any stage of your life. So some start young, like me. Others are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, or later when they decide to come back to it and get going.
Right.
So never shut the cover completely on that possibility.
I haven't quite finished that chapter yet.
But you can get there.
Yeah. Well, something I might have to pick back up eventually. I'm sure the listeners would like to read something that I've written, but I don't know. So you began pretty much your professional writing career, as I understand it, writing adult fiction, correct?
Correct, yeah. All the books, I started writing very young. I was 17 when I finished the first draft of a novel. I averaged a novel a year for the next 2 or 3 years while I was going to university. Then after university, I really threw myself into it, and I was doing 3, 4, sometimes 5 or 6 first drafts of books in a year. I was very, very quick at writing.
Yeah.
I do 10 pages a day, about 3,000 words a day, 5 days a week. When I was firing on all cylinders. Sometimes it'd be even a bit more than that.
Yeah.
But they were all books for adults. Mostly horror books. Like you, I loved horror when I was growing up. I was big into Stephen King and Clive Barker. But other types as well. I'd bring in other genres, fantasy, science fiction, thrillers. But the bulk of my work was either definitely horror or had a horrific element to it. And it was all for adults. But I'd always had it in the back of my mind, I wanted to try a book for children one day. I enjoyed reading children's literature all the way from my teens and into my 20s, and I still do today. It wasn't something I ever completely grew out of. I was mostly reading adult books. But every so often I'd read a kid's book as well and enjoy it on its own terms and enjoy it very, very much if it was well written. So it was something I always wanted to try. And one day I'd sold my first adult book at this stage and I was working on other ones. And I just had the idea for Cirque du Freak. I was sitting in a car, I was babysitting a young cousin who was asleep and back. My mind was wandering. I had this idea of a boy who meets a vampire at a circus and reluctantly becomes his assistant. And the idea of telling a horror story from a child's point of view intrigued me. And so I thought I'd give it a go. At the time, it was just a sideline for me. I used to do my work on my adult books in the daytime. So I normally work quite early, between sort of 10 a.m. and maybe 3 or 4 p.m. So I'd do that. I'd do my 10 pages a day of whatever my adult book was at the time. And then I'd do another 5 or 6 pages at night on Cert Freak. It was just a little thing I was doing for fun on the side. I had no idea it was going to be a career change for me. I had no idea it was going to turn me into a globally best-selling author. It was just something I was doing. I had no idea if I'd be good at it. I had no idea if I'd enjoy it. I had no idea if I'd be able to sell it. I just thought, I'm going to try this on the side, see how it goes. Yeah, if it doesn't lead to anything, I won't have lost anything, only a bit of time. But I found I enjoyed it a lot. Readers, when it finally got published, enjoyed it a lot as well. And it launched me on this Darren Shan career trajectory.
That was going to be my next question. Why did you decide to switch to young adult fiction from adult fiction? So you pretty much answered that. What attracted...
I do still write for
You what?
So the most recent book I published came out last year, Father of the Future, one of my a sci-fi novel. I release those these days under the name of Darren Dash. So I do still work for adults and write for adults. But yeah, over the last 20, quarter century now, the most of my work has been for children, teenagers. Partly mainly because I love doing that. I really enjoy that style of storytelling. And also it has been very successful. And there's no denying it's much nicer writing a book that it's going to be loved by hundreds of thousands of people, but it is writing a book that's maybe going to be loved by a few hundred people.
Right.
So that's a factor as well. Although I do still keep my hand in, as I said, with the adult books.
Very cool. Very cool. What attracted you to the horror genre specifically?
It's hard to say. I mean, can any of us ever explain our loves in life? What draws us to a genre or a type of car or a life partner? I'd loved horror since I was a young kid. I can remember seeing my first Dracula film when I was still living in London. So I was still 5 or 6 years of age, and I just thought it was amazing. This creepy character crawling across the outside walls of a castle, drinking blood, only come out at night. I just loved it. I was just intrigued by it, and horror was my first love. I've always read widely. I always watched lots of different types of movies and TV shows, but horror was the thing I loved more. That really, really excited me as a kid and as a teenager, especially, and into my 20s. These days, I don't dabble in the genre as strongly as I used to. It takes a really, really good horror film or book to really capture me now, because I've seen so many of them and read so many of them. But yeah, it was my first love. It's just something I love the frisson you'd get when you're reading a really good book or watching a really good horror movie. And the shivers down your spine, and being nervous when you turn out the lights at night. I always liked it. I always compare it to a roller coaster ride. It's scary, but at the same time, it's safe. When you're reading a book or watching a movie, it's just a work of fiction. No matter how realistic it might seem, and a good horror book or good horror movie should seem as it is, if it is realistically possible, it's not. So it's like a roller coaster ride for me. It's a really exciting journey, and I love it when I'm in that world. I find it very exciting, very frightening. But as soon as I can step out of it, I'm back to normality. And normality can be a bit boring after a good horror book, but it can also be a bit of a relief as well to get away from the monsters. It's nice to dabble in the occult, in these fantastical worlds, but it's nice, to know you're not going to be tapped midway through an interview by a hungry vampire at the window.
At least hope not. Anyway,
it hasn't happened yet. Anyway,
thank God for that. Do you have any particular favorite horror movies or TV shows? Since we're on that topic,
I mean, the one that I would always sort of mention is Salem's Lot, the original 2-part TV version of the Stephen King book back in the 1970s with David Soul, who passed away very recently. I saw the second half of the movie when I was a child. I must have been maybe 9 or 10 years of age, and my next door neighbour, farmers, they knew that I loved horror, and I used to go out to the house most days and come over one day, and they said, we saw the first part of this really scary movie last night, and the second part's on tonight, you should go and watch it. So I thought, I'll give it a go, and it scared the pants off me. I absolutely loved it. I'd never heard of Stephen King before, but and if you've ever seen it, the first half was quite slow. The second half is just wall to wall vampires. yeah, and that just really, I loved horror before then, but that really cemented my love of horror. And a
Mm.
few months or so later, I was in a bookstore and I saw the book Salem's Lot, with the picture of the TV show on the
Mm-hmm.
cover.
Yeah.
And so I'd never heard of Stephen King, but I recognised the picture, I recognised the name. I said to my mum, "Can I read that, please?" I must have been about 10 years old, maybe 11.
Mm.
But yeah, it's the 1980s. She said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And so I trotted off with my first Stephen King book under my arm.
Yeah.
And 40 years later, I'm still reading him.
Very cool. Yeah. Some of my favorites, well, actually, the scariest movie I have ever seen was a Stephen King adaptation of the old one, not the most recent one. I didn't care for it very much, but the old adaptation of Pet Cemetery. That one
Oh yeah,
that scared me. And it still does. Like I don't know. I don't know. Just how he twisted death like that in that story.
it
I
was a
don't.
very dark story. He
Yeah.
even said, I remember reading him. His wife hated the book because of it, the way it twisted. And when you do horror with kids,
Yeah.
parents really find that hard to take sometimes. I'm a parent of two young children now myself,
Yeah.
and I must say I do find that hard now to watch anything where children are being threatened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it went to some very very dark places. Pet
Yeah.
Cemetery.
Yeah. I think he actually shelved that novel for the
I
longest
think
time
he did,
because of that.
and then
Yeah.
he came back to it. Yeah.
Yeah. But and another one that scared me and actually traumatized me was Child's Play with Chucky.
Oh, Chucky
The killer
that
doll.
was funny. That just made me laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I I was about 4 or 5. My older brother, he locked me in a room and made me watch that. And before then, I loved dolls,
Okay.
and it never occurred to me what would happen if one were to come to life, you know. And then I saw that movie, and yeah, I still have a fear of dolls to this day because of that reason. So
Yeah, I think well, the stage you're at in life sometimes determines how you react to these things. I saw the first Chucky film well into my teens, maybe even
yeah,
late teens, early 20s.
yeah,
So to me it was just a funny film. But yeah, as a kid, I can remember seeing some old Vincent Price movies,
oh
horror
yeah,
movies
yeah,
years ago. But they were like, as an adult, they're funny.
mm,
What was it? Theatre of Blood, I think, was one of them.
mm,
And yeah, as an adult, you laugh at them, but
mm,
as a child, you take them more seriously.
yeah,
But they did traumatize me in a good way. As I always liked being scared.
yeah.
One of the best horror films I've seen in recent years was Hereditary by
Okay,
the,
yeah,
the director of Midsummer. Midsummer was great as well, but Hereditary really messed with my mind. It was a
mm,
very, very unexpected. I knew nothing about it going in. I hadn't read any reviews,
mm-hmm.
and it was just, what the hell is
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on?
I think one of the most unsettling modern ones I've seen, just because of its concept, was that movie Get Out. You know, where they're
That was really cool.
yeah, that is a cool movie, but yeah, that I didn't expect that twist in that movie, but yeah. I
Yeah,
wanted
no,
I wanted to ask you, not to cut off our conversation, but I did want to ask you about being that we've been talking about your works, and the fact that you've been doing horror, and we've been talking about Stephen King as well. Who are your literary influences? Would you consider Stephen King being one of them?
he would be my favourite all-time writer. As I said, it's about 40 years ago I read my first Stephen King book, and I've stuck with him all those decades since. I still
Mm.
read his books.
Yeah.
I'm a few behind him actually. His last few I've missed out on, so I must catch up on those. That happens sometimes. I could go a couple of years
Mm.
without reading one, and because he's so prolific, you go 2 or 3 years without reading Stephen King, there'll be 3 or 4 books
Mm.
waiting for you. But yeah, he's been a huge influence on me. There's all different ones. Clive Barker was a massive influence in my teens,
Mm.
especially the Books of Blood and Weave World.
Yeah.
There's a writer called Jonathan Carroll who wrote these super dark fantasy books in the late 80s and early 90s. He's still going today.
Mm.
His last book was really, really good, actually. He released it there last year. But the stuff I read in the late 80s and early 90s really blew my mind and
Yeah.
opened up where horror could go in different ways for me. They're not strictly speaking horror books, but they did have horrific angles to them, and it showed me how you could write about horror, but not necessarily just about all blood and guts. There were different ways to do horror.
Yeah.
But I've also been influenced by non-horror writers. Lots of Kurt Vonnegut had a huge influence on me. Roald Dahl as a kid. I love some Roald Dahl's books.
Uh,
Enid Blyton, going back to kids' books,
Mhm.
The Famous Five and The Secret Seven. Even though she's not very politically correct these days, they were really fun books to read as a kid. I remember reading loads of those books, and they helped cement my love of reading and then later writing. So I take inspiration from all over the place. Writers, you pick up ideas everywhere. So I always say to young writers or people who want to get into writing, read widely. No matter what your favourite genre might be, no matter what, if you're going to write in a specific genre, you know that, still read widely. Read all different types of books. Open yourself up to different genres, to different ideas.
Yeah.
Because a good horror book should work on lots of different levels. If you read Stephen King, a lot of his books aren't really horror. They'll have some little horror elements going through them, but a lot of them, if he wasn't the established master of horror and it was just a new first-time author setting out, they might not even be marketed as horror books.
Yeah.
He writes lots of different types of stories. You should never box yourself in. Certainly as a reader, sometimes as a writer you might do. It might be a specific genre, and that's all you want to do. But as a reader, read everything you can, all different types of stories, because you never know what's going to grip you. You never know where an idea is going to come from. Yeah. Some of my ideas of books have come from most unlikely of sources. So it's always good to read all sorts of different types of books.
I agree there. Darren, I do have to introduce the next song. This is Foregone with Unchained. I'm here with Darren Shan. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. We'll catch you guys back here in a bit.
Trying Tell me all the things that you heard about me. I don't give a damn, words can't make me bleed. You're a liar, you're a cheater, you're alone and afraid. Everywhere from you I feel the same. So help me stand. You're one moment away from losing it every day. No one cares who you are. They'll just keep using you, 'cause they're not walking in your shoes. Every time you try to tell me that you're here for me, you'll sever the love in time. You make it all so easy. You can't deny the greed in your words. So help me stand. You're one moment away from losing it every day. No one cares who you are. They'll just keep using you, 'cause they're not walking in your shoes. Yeah. Check out what you've been doing. No one will stop you running. I can't believe you're changing everything that could become.
And that was Shades of Raven with Polarity. Before that, that was New Dilemma with Angels Are Crying. What I've got coming at you guys is A Moment of Violence, or AMOV, with their song My Endless Nightmare. I'll catch you guys back here in a bit. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show.
Ritual, the special design.
Hey, I'm Doc here on Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. Guys, today I am joined by author Darren Shan. So, Darren, I want to talk to you about the Cirque du Freak, the saga of Darren Shan. That's how I initially came to know you, and believe me when I tell you, I binged all of those books from book 1 to, I think it was book 12, 12 books in that series. And I binged them all when I was a kid, and it was so hard to get through that series because all the other kids always had those books checked out at the library. So, and they would be gone all year, so you'd have to be lucky to even get a hold of one of those, to read the next book. So I want to talk to you about that. Why did you choose to use your own name for the main character?
Well, my real name is actually Darren O'Shaughnessy.
Mm-hmm.
And the first book I released was for adults, and I released that under my real name.
Yeah.
So when I came to write Cirque du Freak, I decided I wanted to use a different name because I didn't want readers getting mixed up between my adult books and my children's books.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, well, what name could I use? Now, in Ireland, the correct pronunciation of my surname is actually O'Shaughnessy. Mm-hmm. But you can also pronounce it O'Shaughnessy. On the west coast of Ireland where I live, that's how most of us would say it, O'Shaughnessy. And my father's father was Patrick O'Shaughnessy, but everyone referred to him as Paddy Shan. And so Darren Shan immediately popped into my head. And it was different enough to my own name, but similar enough that I wouldn't get confused. It was paying homage to my grandfather, who passed away when I was a teenager. And I just immediately, I liked it. And I knew I was going to use that name as my pseudonym. And then I knew I was going to start Cirque du Freak by saying it was all a true story. And I suddenly realised if I use the name of Darren Shan for the character as well, I can blur the lines between fantasy and reality and have readers wondering, could this really be true? And actually, if readers do read all the way to the end, as you did, there is a twist at the end which does explain how it could all have happened, and yet how I can be here, as the author of other books, leading a normal life. Yeah. So it started as a pseudonym, and then it just seemed like the right thing to do it for the name of the character as well. Often with writing, for me anyway, it's down to gut calls. You make gut decisions. You just trust your instincts and go with it. I don't always know exactly why I'm doing something, but if it feels right, I'll usually go with it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too, because you begin the very first book of that saga with a prologue where you state that the story is a true story, and I was going to ask why you did that.
Well, as I said, it was to blur those lines, especially for my younger readers. Cirque du Freak, it really reaches a very wide age range. My readers start from about 10, 11 years of age, and go through teenagers and even adults. But if you're 10 or 11, you're much more open to the idea that the supernatural could be real, that stories might be real. When I was reading a book as a kid, I loved wanting it to be true. I loved it thinking, this could really have happened, this could happen. It made it much more exciting. And so I think by tying my author name to a character name, it made it easier for younger readers in particular to suspend their sense of disbelief, to fully enter into this world which I was creating, and to believe that this could have happened. And it just added an extra level to them. And I think it's one of the reasons why the books were as successful as they have gone on to be. I wasn't thinking about the market or anything at that time, but I think that is one of the things that worked really, really well, in that readers bought into it and they thought, this could have happened. And I often get asked these days, again by younger readers, did it really happen, Mr. Shan? Was it true? And I always say, well, it might have been. If you read to the end of the series, you'll find out how it could have been, and whether it was or not. I leave it down to every reader to decide for themselves.
Why did you choose vampires?
They were my favourite monsters. It was as simple as that. I'd wanted to write about vampires since I was 5 or 6. I'd always known I was going to try and write a really good vampire book one day. But I steered clear of them for a long time because I couldn't figure out a way to do it originally. I didn't want to do the normal type of Dracula story where an evil vampire comes to town, starts killing people, a group of heroes find out about him, track him down, drive a stake through his heart, the end. It's been done so many times. I want to do something different with vampires. I think the best vampire books, they pay homage to the old novels, especially the Bram Stoker Dracula, but they find their own way into it as well. And so for a long time, I couldn't find a unique way of writing about vampires.
Yeah.
And then one day I came up with this idea of telling it from a child's point of view, and of having a child reluctantly becoming a vampire. That was something that went back to when I was 5 or 6 years of age.
Yeah.
When I was living in London still, I was a bit of an unusual child in that I loved nightmares.
Yeah.
Parents will sometimes come up to me at events or signings and they'll say, Mr. Shan, but my young son or daughter loves your books, but I'm a bit worried. I'm scared that your work might give my child nightmares. And I always say to them, well, I hope they do. That's the whole point of horror. You read funny books to laugh, you read scary books to be scared. Having a nightmare is one of the big perks of reading a horror book or watching a horror film. So I used to lie in bed at night thinking of scary things to try and give myself nightmares. And I would often play out vampire scenarios and think about what it would be like if vampires attacked the place where I lived. And sometimes I would fight off the vampires and save everyone in my family, and I'd be a hero. Sometimes I'd imagine what it would be like if my parents got turned into vampires, but I managed to survive, and I'd play out that scenario. And then occasionally I'd wonder what it would be like if I got turned into a vampire. This is back when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years of age.
That's pretty
And
young.
20 years later, that idea resurfaced with Certain Freak, and the idea of having a child not wanting to be part of that world of the night.
Yeah.
That was what intrigued me. I think that's what intrigued a lot of readers as well, because normally in vampire stories, once you get turned into a vampire, you lose your human morals. You become this blood-craved monster.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what if you don't? What if you have to drink blood to survive, and you can only come out at night, but you still have your human feelings?
Yeah.
What would that be like? And that intrigued me. And as much as Certain Freak gets sold as a horror series, I don't think really it is. I think, and I don't think that's what appeals to people the most. There is a horror element to it, but I think it's a tragedy that gets readers the most.
Yeah.
It's the tragic element of Darren and his story
Yeah.
that really pulls at people's heartstrings. I get the occasional comment from readers saying they've been scared or had nightmares reading my books, but I get loads, so many saying they've cried. This is a very emotional journey that Darren goes on. And I think that's the real secret behind Certain Freak's success. It's not the cool vampires. It's not the grisly horror scenes. It's the real human element of it. The fact that, you feel for Darren.
Yeah.
His path is a very, very difficult path. And that's what makes his story such a riveting one, I think.
Yeah, it's a very, I would even go as far as to call it not really a horror story. It's more of a tragic coming of age story. Really.
Absolutely. 100%. And I didn't realise that until I was nearly finished the series. It was obviously subconsciously there, but it wasn't really like in sort of book 11. And I thought, actually, yeah, that's exactly what this is. This is a coming of age story. And enough, I had originally planned to write more books. It was going to be more than 20 books in the series.
Yeah.
But I got to what would have been the midway point and realised, no, this is a coming of age story, and Darren's coming of age story stops here. And if I take it any further forwards, it becomes something else. And that's not what the story is about. This is Darren Shan's story, and Darren Shan's story is telling us a tale of how he grew to become an adult and how he learnt to fend for himself and stand on his own 2 feet.
Yeah.
And that's why I ended it where I did, with book 12, Sons of Destiny. But yeah, it's 100%. It is a coming of age tale.
Yeah. I know that you got not only that saga, but you've got the saga of Larkin Crepsley also in that same universe. Do you plan to come back to that universe eventually in your writing?
I doubt it. I'm normally very sceptical of prequels and sequels. Usually they're done just to either to cash in or because the writers don't have any new ideas to move on with.
Yeah.
But when I finished Sons of Destiny, I had no plans to write about Mr. Crepsley's past. I'd actually been asked by some of my publishers to do that when the Certain Freak series was being written.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. Just it would have made a lot of money. I'd never write for money. I always write stories that I want to write, stories I'd love to read. So I had no plan to do that. But the story just insisted on being told. A few years after I finished the series, I just kept thinking about Mr. Crepsley, about what his life was like before he met Darren, how he became a vampire, why he trod the path that we heard about him treading in the original series. And I just got drawn back in, and I had to write those 4 books.
Yeah.
There's a chance I might one day do a sequel series. As I said, there were going to be more books originally, so I do have some ideas for how there could be another series set beyond the events of the Certain Freak series.
Yeah.
But I've been away from it for a long time now, so I suspect it's very unlikely I'll ever return.
Okay.
It could happen. I could wake up tomorrow morning and an idea might grab me and draw me back into that world. I'd be delighted to return to it if that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's unlikely at this stage.
Okay. All right. Do you really have a love of spiders? Because I'm looking at a tarantula right now. I've got 5 of them. 2 of them sit on my desk. So, do you really have a love of spiders?
I do not. It's funny because in the prologue of Certain Freak, Darren Shan says, "I've always been fascinated by spiders," and that's how the whole plot of the book gets set in motion.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, I'm not arachnophobic. I've always been a bit, creeped out by spiders. Originally, Mr. Crepsley, the vampire in the books, was going to have a pet rat.
Mm-hmm.
My thinking being rats are quite intelligent, they can be taught to do tricks. But I thought that's not really anything spectacular. People have seen that before. He needs to have something more eye-catching than a pet rat. And so I thought, what would scare me if I was sitting in an audience looking up at the guy on stage? And I immediately thought of tarantulas. This idea that he was a tarantula handler, that he was doing these tricks with this ultra poisonous spider who could kill him with a single bite.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd seen that in the theatre, I would be bolted to my seat. And so I thought, if that scares me, there's a good chance it will scare other readers too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I went with spiders. I'll often actually work in my own fears into the books.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, actually, your books actually inspired me to actually get my first tarantula. I was just like, so, yeah, I wouldn't have the 5 of them that I have. And like I said, I'm looking at 2 of them right now, and I can tell you that they're big fans of your books too. But,
Brilliant.
I wanted to ask you about the mechanics of the vampires in your novels, because they're not really your traditional vampires. I mean, they do burn in the sun, but they only drink enough blood to not actually hurt the person, but to not kill them, but just to kind of live. Where did you get those mechanics from? Did you just come up with them yourself, or did anything influence them? I'm kind of thinking that maybe you did the mechanics the way you did them to make the vampires more human, or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, going back to what I said a while ago, I didn't want my vampires to be heartless, blood-crazed monsters. I wanted them to have their human feelings still. That was very important for me.
Uh-huh.
And then, so I took almost a sociological approach to it. When I was at university, I studied English and sociology. And when I was doing sociology, for 1 year, I did an anthropology course. And it fascinated me, looking at the way other cultures work and how societies operate. And so I took almost a sociological approach to my vampires. So my starting point was, okay, these guys, they live hundreds of years. They do only come out at night. As you said, they can come out during the day for short periods. They don't burn instantly, but they will burn after a while. So they tend to just come out at night. And they do have to drink blood to survive. But they're not crazed killers. They're not monsters. So I thought, well, what would a society of people like that be like? What sort of rules would they live by? How would they structure their society around themselves? And as much as I drew inspiration from lots of vampire books and movies and TV shows that I'd seen and read over the years, I also drew inspiration from real life warrior tribes. So like the Native Americans, the samurai in Japan, the ancient Celts in Ireland, the modern day Masai Mara in Kenya. I looked at how their societies operated, about the codes they lived by, the way they lived, the way they structured their societies. And that's how I built up my vampire society. I just tried to think, well, okay, if this was real, what would it be like? Let's put the fantastic, there are fantastical elements in there, certainly, but I kept them to as much of a minimum as I could. Because I wanted people to be able to believe that these creatures were real, that they were part of our world. And if they were, what would they be like? How would they live? Where would their base be? We don't have a country, obviously, but do they have somewhere they call home? Do they kill people or not? If they went around killing people all the time, my feeling was they'd be found out very quickly. People would be hunting them down. Also, even though they see themselves as being superior in certain ways to humans, they do all start out as humans. And I thought, well, it's not necessary but they would lose their human attributes. So it's just a lot of thinking about it, a lot of playing around with ideas, and a lot of just trying to make them as realistic as I possibly could, while still keeping something dark and vampiric about them. I didn't want them to sparkle as certain other vampires do. They had to be I want them to be down and dirty vampires,
Yeah.
but very human vampires at the same.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you have any particular favorite characters? And this doesn't just this question doesn't just relate to the Cirque du Freak or both sagas. It could be any of your works. Do you have any particular favorite characters?
Favorite character is actually in Cirque Freak. It's Mr. Krebsley, the main
Yeah.
vampire of the series. He was a fascinating character. I never figured out that much about him over the course of the original 12 books.
Mm.
He had a very mysterious background. He never really spoke much to Darren. He became Darren's mentor, and the pair became very, very close. He was like Darren's father by the end. But he never talked much about himself, about his feelings, about his background, about his past.
Yeah.
And I never knew much about him because I knew he was going to be that way in the books. I didn't need to know what his background was, and so I never developed it. So it was after I'd finished the series, I just kept thinking about him, trying to work it out for myself how he came to be the way he was in those books.
Mm.
And as I said, that drew me into writing about him. I went back and wrote a 4-book series that covered the 200 years in his life from when he was a child up until the point where he meets Darren at the Cirque du Freak.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's of all the characters that I've ever written or created, he's the one who has fascinated me the most and intrigued me the most and taken me on on the richest, most surprising journey. Okay. So yeah, of all the characters I've created, he is my favorite.
Okay. And if you could choose to meet any of your characters in person, like maybe take them out to dinner, or just sit down for a talk, which one would it be and why?
There's another character in that series called Paris Skyle. He's the world's oldest vampire in the books. Mm-hmm. And the books allude to him having a very, very rich history. I think I said at one point he he traveled with Columbus from Europe when he was on the trip to cover the Americas. So he would be someone who would have a lot of interesting stories to tell. So yeah, I think Paris Skyle would be the one I'd pick in that instance.
Very cool. Very cool. Are there any characters that you regret killing off in any of your series or sagas? And I ask you this because I have never forgiven you. Sorry, but spoiler warning, I've never forgiven you for killing Larton Krebsley. Never.
I still get angry emails and letters about that all these years later. No, is the short answer. I always think very, very carefully about killing off a character. I kill off lots of characters in my books. I think if you write very dark horror fantasy books the way I do, you have to kill characters. If you create these very dangerous worlds and storylines, it's cheating if you keep all your main characters alive just because you want them around for the sequels. There are authors who do that, and I never liked it. I think characters have to be expendable. The rules of reality have to apply. I say in the prologue of Cirque du Freak, the first book, I say, in real life, bad things happen. Evil sometimes wins, good guys sometimes die, and that's the way life is. Death stalks us all in life. Good, whether you're good or bad, old or young. We're all under the Grim Reaper's scythe at some point. At all points, we're never more than one little accident away from the end. And so, characters do die regularly in my books, but I never kill them off lightly. It has to serve the plot. There has to be a reason for it. So when I do it for the right reasons, and I think about it carefully. I don't have a code where I had to kill off a certain number of characters in each book. It's not that way. I sit down thinking, okay, who am I going to kill this time? When the storyline demands it, I let these characters fall by the wayside. And I miss them sometimes. I miss Mr. Krebsley. There are other characters who I would have liked to have done more with. But when we get to a point of a story where the story is calling for a death, I never spare them. I don't step in and intercede. And so, no, even though I miss a lot of these characters, they come to mean an awful lot to me, I never regret killing them off because that's what the story demands. And I always follow where the story leads.
Yeah, well, the way you did Larton Krebsley, and he wrote an entire chapter as where he survives, and then you come back and say, "But that never happened." like what?
I know. It's the reason
that was cruel.
People really react. Some people get very angry with that chapter because they think I'm mocking them, but that's not the case. I put that in there to make it clear that he was probably dead and wouldn't be returning. In fantasy books, very often in popular series, The author would kill off characters and then bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of readers would have been expecting Mr. Crepsley's return.
Mm-hmm.
But I put that chapter in to make it clear there wasn't going to be no miraculous comeback for Mr. Crepsley. This was the end of his story. And I think that chapter drove it. As hard as it was at the time to read, it made it clear to readers, Darren's not going to pull a fast one here. He's not going to bring Mr. Crepsley back in the next book. This is truly the end. Yeah. And I think it made it more realistic, and it drove home the fact that this had really happened, and that you had to mourn Mr. Crepsley properly because he was properly gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the things I think when I initially started reading your series as a kid. That was the thing that I initially really appealed to me, was you weren't like other authors that I had read, whereas, nearly every story I'd read before that had a happy ending. When I read your books, they rarely ever had a happy ending. Like even each
the end
chapter
of the series, they usually end happily. There is lots of dark spots along the way. I usually do try and end on a bit of a more positive note. I think if my books were all doom and gloom, they wouldn't be as popular as they are.
That's true.
I think you do have to have light at the end of the tunnel when you take readers on a dark journey, as I do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in terms of individual books, as you're reading along, there is a lot of them would not have happy endings.
No. And, you kind of broke the mold for me as a kid when it came to reading books. By doing that, it's like, well, this is, I think in doing that, you made the books more relatable, because not every story, like you just said a minute ago, not everything that happens in your life has a happy ending, so therefore, as a reader, you can relate to those books in that way, so very,
I think it sounds odd, but you can have too much happiness in stories and books and movies and TV shows. It does have to be darkness. That's what life is like. We have to deal with death in life. We have to deal with setbacks. You don't have to obsess about it, and I certainly don't do that in my work. But I do think you have to acknowledge it, and you have to explore it. And you have to look at what it's like when you lose people who are close to you, and how that impacts on you, and how that changes your life. I think it's important that we confront the Grim Reaper, but we do it in our fiction, so that when it happens to us in real life, we're better prepared for it.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very cool. Do you have any personal favorites when it comes to your series or sagas that you've written so far?
I don't have a favourite series. I will spend several years working on each of my long series, so they all, I'm incredibly involved with each and every one of them.
Yeah.
My favourite book, if I could only keep one book out of everything I've ever written, it would be just a one-off book I released years ago called The Thin Executioner. It's a fantasy novel. It's one of my better-known works, but it does have a very strong cult following. It's a sort of fantasy novel set in this world where every crime is punishable with execution. So even if you're caught stealing, you'll be executed. And it's about a young boy who wants to be an executioner. Executioners are treated like celebrities in this world.
Yeah.
And he wants to be an executioner. He's too thin and scrawny. So he sets off on this quest to try to gain magical powers to allow him to become the thin executioner. But as he travels across the world and meets lots of different people, his views of the world start to change. It's one of my favourite. I can't say exactly why it's my favourite, but out of all the books I've written, that's the one that means the most to me personally.
Okay. All right. And I wanted to ask you too about your favorite authors. If you could meet any author, alive or dead, which one would it be and why?
It would be Stephen King. I'd love to sit down and have a chat with him and tell him how much his books have meant to me and ask him about them. I was actually at an event with Stephen King years ago. I wasn't doing the event with him. I went to an event that he was doing, and I was at the after show party later on. So I was in the room with him, and I could have got up and said hello to him, but he was like having dinner after it and stuff, and I just didn't want to intrude. I got a bit nervous as well, so I backed out of going up and telling him. I was afraid I was just going to start gushing if I went up to him. But if we could sort of sit down, just the pair of us in a room, and have a couple of drinks and chat about his work and our lives and everything, he would be the one I would most love to spend a night with.
Very cool. All right, Darren, I've got to introduce the next song. The next song is Beyond Today with Upside Down. I'm here with Darren Shan. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. We'll catch you guys back here in a bit. And that was Cold Words with Flatline. Before that, was Drown Again with Seeing Clear. What I've got coming at you is Penny Fountain with her song Goth Girl. I'll catch you guys back here in a bit. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show.
Watching you across the room, you seem nice, but I know there's a dark side.
Hey, I'm Doc here on Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. Today, guys, I'm joined by Darren Shan. So, Darren, I wanted to ask you, what is the best advice that you've ever received and could offer to new writers coming up?
I mean, the best advice is just to write. It's the most important thing. But I always say there's no magic to being a writer. The more you write, the more you learn, the better you get.
Okay.
And one of the bits of advice that meant a lot to me when I can't remember where I read it years ago, but it's important to write even when you don't feel like writing. You know, a bad writer will write when they're inspired, but a good writer will write regardless. They'll sit down every day and they'll make themselves do the work. And you have to do that. There are very few days when I wake up feeling inspired, when I bounce down to my computer and start typing up a storm. You know, most days I have to drag myself to it. I have to force myself to work. I love writing, but it is hard work. You know, I'm sitting in an office all by myself. There are so many distractions. I could be surfing the web, watching TVs or movies or reading. You know, I have to make myself do it. And so it's important you do that, but you don't just do it when you feel like it. You have to treat it as a job. You know, if you want to write to your fullest capacities, it is a job. You have to treat it as a job. You have to approach it as work and make yourself do it.
Yeah.
They always say, write the sort of stories you like to read. Never focus on the market and what's popular or not popular. You're going to spend a lot of time locked away from the world if you want to be a writer.
Mhm.
I often compare it, if I'm doing events in schools, I often compare it to doing homework for the rest of your life. And that's basically what it is, sitting at a desk, just you and the words.
Mhm.
So if you're going to spend all that time locked away in this world of your own, at least do things that you'll do stories you're going to enjoy writing. Don't try and tap into whatever's hot at the moment. Write stories that would excite you as a reader. I think the best books are those books that writers wrote because they wanted to write them, not because they were chasing the next paycheck.
Mhm.
And stick with it. Set yourself achievable goals. So it might be like when I was first started writing full time, I set myself a goal of writing 5 pages a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And I did that for a few months. And when I felt confident, I started doing 10 pages a day, 5 days a week. Now it might be 1 page a day, 5 days a week, or maybe 1 page a day every weekend. Depending on what your circumstances are, how much time you have to do it. But because most writers don't make much money, they have other jobs to support themselves. They have to write part time. Set yourself an achievable goal and try to meet that goal. If you say you're going to work for 2 hours every Saturday and 2 hours every Sunday, do it every Saturday and Sunday. Because if you miss one of them, your spirit's going to sag. Whereas if you hit your goal, you feel better, you feel good, and that positivity carries you forward into the next weekend. So I think it's important to always be moving forwards with the work. Always try and meet your goal, whatever your goal might be, whether it's a very, very small goal of 1 page a week or 50 pages a week, wherever you feel comfortable. You'll know yourself, depending on how much time you have to work and how fast you are doing it. You'll know after a while what a realistic target is. Set that realistic target and try to achieve it more often than not.
Very cool. Very cool. And very sound advice. So what are your plans for the rest of 2024? I know that, at least I read on Facebook, that you had a house fire that put a damper on your writing career for a while. Do you plan on writing anything else this year or releasing anything?
Yeah, last year was a bit of a washout on the writing front. There was lots of dealing with builders and insurance agents and so on. But yeah, I've written a picture book, my first ever picture book, which is actually fundraised to get the funds for the artist to work on it. Um, and that's hopefully going to come out before the end of this year. We've just very close to finishing our storyboard. And once we've done that, the artist, Eva, is going to be starting work on the finished versions of each page. So hopefully we'll get that out before the end of this year. Although initially it's only going to be as a limited edition for the people who pre-ordered the book for the fundraiser.
Okay.
And then after that, we hope to release it for a traditional publisher and into a much wider market. So that will hopefully come out before the end of the year. I'm working on a new book at the moment, a one-off book, which I can't say too much about, except it's a horror post-apocalyptic book that isn't really a horror post-apocalyptic book. We'll have to see. But I'm not sure it's working on. It's one of those books that I'm midway through it, and I'm sort of not sure if it's going the way I wanted to go, and if it's going to do what I wanted to do. Now I feel that way in a lot of books. Usually they work out all right at the end. But this one, I don't know. I'd started it before the house fire, and so I've come back to it after a year. So I'm finding it a bit sticky getting into it again. But we'll see how it goes. I've got a few other ideas for books that I'm hoping to get started on at some point this year. I'm trying to get back into my groove now. I'm back into my normal routine of 5 days a week, 10 pages a day. So far, I'm still quite a way off it, but I'm easing back into it, and hopefully by the time I finish this book, I'll be back in the groove, and then I'm going to start writing a few more. Some of those will be for adults. I think all the ones I've got planned are for adults at the moment, but hopefully I'll be back into back with the Darren Shan one as well. The one I'm currently working on is a Darren Shan book, a standalone.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully I'll be back with more Darren Shan books down the line.
Very cool.
But yes, that's where I am at the moment.
Very cool. Very cool. And is there anything you'd like to tell your fans that might be listening out there?
Yeah, thanks for the continued support. I know it's been quite a few years recently. I finished the series Archibald Locks a couple of years ago, and I haven't really released anything since then. Apart from my Darren Dash book that came out late last year.
Yep.
But they keep supporting me online and follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and I do a monthly newsletter. So yeah, thanks for keeping me company. I am working behind the scenes. Hopefully we'll get something new out to you before the end of this year and in the years going forwards. There is a team I've referred to it quite a bit online. There's a team the States working on trying to get Certain Freak rebooted as a TV series.
Yeah, I read about
so
that.
That's still ticking over. It's still early stages, but we're at the stage now where they're starting to go to the big sort of players in making these series, looking to get money and funding to take it forward and actually move into pre-production. So whether that happens or not, we'll have to wait and see. I'm always very dubious about these things, because so many potential adaptations just don't work out. But it's looking quite good. There's an exciting team attached to it, even at this early stage. So fingers crossed, something will happen with that in the nearish future.
Okay.
And if it does, Mr. Krepstinko will ride once again.
There you go, man. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you. It's meant a lot that you came on the show, and you're welcome back anytime. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Doc. That hour has flown by. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. It's my pleasure. All right. I'll catch you back next time, hopefully. And that was Darren Shan. Darren, I hope you come back on the show. Most definitely. Guys, let's keep the rock rolling here. I've got 24 and Thorns next with their song, The Way It's Supposed to Be. I'll catch you guys back here in a bit. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show.
To be peaceful, it's taken away, it's taken away. We fail, and then we fail.
And that was my good friend Tim Steinrock with his band The Mighty One with their song Master of Reality. Before that was Straight to Pain with Sky Seekers. What I've got coming at you is Corinne with their song Courage in a Bottle. I'll catch you guys back here in a bit. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show.
Hey, this is Dez,
This is Russ.
This is Alex.
and we are A Moment of Violence. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show.
Let's go. Shining on the 6-road crossing. Your scarecrow silent, but the wolves are howling. Come back in the shadows of earth, so
And that was Rearmed with Lost and Cast Off. Before that, was Volucron with Riptide. What I've got coming at you guys is Northern Genocide with their song Our Final Hour. So I'll catch you guys back here in a bit. You're listening to Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show. Enjoy. Hey, I'm Doc here on Ecstasy Radio, your number one free rock and metal radio show, guys. Please do like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. It does help us out quite a bit, and it keeps you up to date with our newest shows. Guys, I do have to end the show now, but you guys know me. I'm never one to leave you empty-handed. Never, never, never. I've got the dude last with their song Plowed. So I'll see you guys back here again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. As always, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see you then. Have a great and safe weekend, and keep the rock a-rollin'.